Hi, this is a recording of the webinar that I ran on the 29th of April. It's part of the series Business Agility, Agile Leadership. This particular one is titled How Leadership Must Change to Meet the Challenges of the Modern World. I hope you enjoyed. Pretty amazing to do it now. And again. Peter Trucker, I'm sure some of you have heard of. Again, pretty amazing statistic. These figures obviously don't relate to lockdown, but prior to that, they were correct. This is a key point. If the rate of change outside exceeds the rate of change inside, the end is in sight for the business. So I think an interesting video there that puts over the key concept of within what environments do we actually require agility. VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. People in the Agile world talk about VUCA businesses and VUCA markets. So it's giving us a good overview of how the world has changed. And certainly, looking at Radtac, which we started just about 20 years ago, 21 years ago, 22 years ago, actually. The world has changed significantly. We've had to be, well, we've always been an agile business, but we've had to become more agile as the markets become much more VUCA. So that's a good foundation, I think, of why agility is required. Something I'd like you to do, if you would, you can see here low VUCA on the left, 0, high VUCA on the right, 5, and then some scoring ideas: globalization, regulatory, market, competition. Could you just think across all those different things: regulatory, market, competition, workforce, company, etc.? Where are you? Is your business sort of 0, very low VUCA, so no volatility, no uncertainty, or is it 5, very high VUCA? So either just give me a general number for all 8 of these, or whatever. Yeah. So just give me a number. Is it 0 or is it 5? Again, can you put that in chat, please? So I can see where broadly where you are, the people on the webinar actually are. Yeah, 4. Shashenda, thank you. John Ward, 4. Yeah, Alex, 4. Anne, 4. Yeah, we're all pretty VUCA by the looks of it. 3 from Jim. Yeah, 3. Sandra. 5 now. Yeah, Danielle. Yeah, 3 to 4. 4. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? So yeah, 4. Pauline. Yeah, Parag 2 to 3. Interesting. Yeah, Mark 4. 4 5. Yeah. Yeah, Liz 3 4. Yeah, fantastic stuff. Thanks very much. So it's quite interesting. Oh, 1 from somebody, Zach. That's interesting. So it sounds like an interesting market, that one. So yes, there are obviously exceptions to the rule, I suppose you might say nowadays in business, that it's pretty volatile and uncertain. There are obviously exceptions, but many businesses are up around that mark, 3 to 5. So times aren't changing, times have changed. We need to make sure that what we do has the ability to stay in line with the market very quickly. I mean, the bottom line is what we looked at a little bit earlier. In essence, if the rate of change outside in the markets, the people you're serving, the people you're providing value to, is changing faster than the rate of change inside in your business, you've got a huge problem. And I think we can see, we are all aware of digital disruptors and what that's done to the market, especially over the last 20 years or so. And remember that statistic that we just saw a little while ago. The companies don't last very long nowadays if they haven't got the ability to change fast. What's that quote from Confucius? The only constant in life is change. So yeah, interesting. All right, let's keep pushing forward. Thanks very much for that scoring. As I expected, most people are up around sort of 4 or 5 mark. Yeah, key drivers of change. Well, there's loads of stuff really, but emerging technologies. I think things are changing extremely fast nowadays. All the gurus out there are basically talking about change isn't going to slow down anytime soon. John Kotter, some of you might have heard of, Professor John Kotter. He's, I suppose you might say, the most quoted guru to do with transformation, not specifically agile, but change and transformation. Yeah, he's been talking for the last 5-7 years about the rate of change isn't going to slow down anytime soon. So emerging technologies, people, digital disruptors. Yes, sadly, we've worked with many companies and they've basically said, okay, we want to transform this part of the business, but the rest of our business doesn't really need to change because we've been doing this for 30, 40, 50 years, or in the case of some organizations, 300-400 years. What we've been done in the past works brilliantly. It'll be absolutely fine. And then sadly for them, a couple of months later, a digital disruptor comes into the market and totally takes their market out. Just think finance, think insurance, yeah, think banking. What's happened with the digital disruptors in that arena. Globalization, yeah. So working in a globalized world, different workforces, different cost of workforces, nature of work, yeah. Things like AI, artificial intelligence. I'm sure we're all aware of quantum computing. What's going to happen when that comes into play? What can happen when artificial intelligence really starts to take off? So that's again going to fundamentally change the world of work. So the point I'm making here is it's a VUCA world. It's not going to slow down anytime soon. And these drivers of change are very, very big. My personal view, after forming a business over a period of 20 years and my background in IT, et cetera, my personal view is that we're going through a period at the moment that is as volatile as the Industrial Revolution was, or the agricultural revolution was. The reason we don't see it is that we're right in the middle of it. I'm sure when people look back at this period of time, they'll say, wow, those folks went through a huge amount of change during that period. It'd be interesting to see what they call this period. But yeah, we're going through a huge amount of change. So key drivers of change. Obviously, what's happening to us at the moment, the nightmare of COVID, etc. Yeah, so this was a cartoon I found a few weeks ago that seemed pretty apt to me. Yeah, there will be what are called black swans. If none of you have heard of this concept, black swan, a good book to read is by a guy called Taleb, T-E-L-E-B, Taleb, and the book is called Black Swans. In essence, it's about events which hit us from left field. We're not expecting them, but they hit us. How do we actually organize our business to deal with these events that hit us from left field? Now, obviously, things like COVID-19, etc., we need to have a very agile, flexible business that allows to change very, very quickly, because if we don't have that, sadly, as we're going to see, a lot of businesses will go out of business very, very quickly. So yeah, VUCA, black swans. So again, if you'd be kind enough just to go on to chat, I know I'm interested. What are your top challenges you face when? I've said to transform into agility here. Really transform into anything. Within your businesses, what are the top challenges you face when transforming? So if you could just go into chat and make some comments, that'd be absolutely superb. Yeah, brilliant. Especially at the moment, everybody being remote. Yes, resistance to change, certainly. Agile's out of date. Yeah, if Agile's not implemented correctly, it's certainly too slow. Agile's deemed to belong to IT, definitely. Culture, yes. Other teams not coming on the journey with you, yeah. Distributed procurement, definitely. Leadership, misunderstandings of what Agile is a biggie. Yes, I'll talk about Agile operating models. Management slow to change. Yeah, expect the engineers to change is good enough. Yeah, certainly seen that one. People, culture, remote Agile enablement, misalignment, politics, yeah, definitely. Top challenges. Yes, that reminds me when I was working for a large airline years ago, doing some business transformation work about 20, 25 years ago. And I was talking to the director of the engineering part of the organization that we're helping to transform. And basically he was saying, yeah, we need to transform, it's key we transform, and we've got some really key areas we want to look at. So I said, okay, fantastic. Can you just run me through the key areas? And he ran me through 96 key areas. So whether they were all priority one, bit of a problem. Trying to do far too much. IT is 2,500 times too slow. Yeah, interesting one there. Yeah. Bottom line, information technology nowadays is absolutely fundamental to achieving business agility. Fundamental. So our information technology has got to be agile to enable the business to be agile. Yeah. The hope of being a temporary change or temperature change. Yeah, absolutely. Non-systems thinking. Yes, we'll have a look at systems thinking later on. Definitely focusing on value change, basically. Intent doesn't translate into action. Yeah, these are absolutely brilliant. So thanks very much for those. We've got a really great overview there of the top challenges you're facing. So yes, let's just move on a little bit. So yeah, benefits of Agile. Yeah, well, ability to manage changing priorities very, very quickly. Visibility. We focus very much on making things visible in Agile. What we don't want is a scenario where nothing's visible. We want people to be able to see things to make the right decisions apart from anything else. Business and IT, yeah, there's been this sort of old school view that, people back in the day used to talk about business and IT. Well, the IT is the business, in the same way that anything else is the business. So, yeah, we need to make sure that that's aligned. Team morale, yeah. Top challenges there. I think you've got all of those actually. The last one I don't remember seeing, inconsistent processes and practices across teams. Yeah, this is an interesting one. There's been, for example, some of you may have heard of the Spotify model. Very laudable, good stuff, fantastic. But there's a few interesting articles coming out recently on, do Spotify. Well, when the Spotify model was defined, people have been saying it was defined back in the day. It was correct for back in the day, but it's not correct now. But people are also saying, well, how much does Spotify actually align with the Spotify model? And one of the points that was made was that Spotify basically put empowerment in place, good idea. But what they said was, thou art now agile, thou shalt go away and be agile. And what happened was many of the teams went out and basically did what they thought agile was. And there was no actual definitive version, basic version of what agility meant in their organization. So that's a real biggie. We need to make sure they have an agile operating model. Agile operating model basically being the basics of how we operate in an agile way. So just have a quick look at what I mean by an agile operating model. I'm just going to stop the share on this and start the share on this one. So just bear with me a second. So, what do I mean by an agile operating model? Well, the bottom line is that agile is about being agile, not doing agile. So it's really about the values and principles. I'm sure some of you have heard the concept of values-based management. Agile definitely aligns to that. So it's about the values and the principles. It's about being agile. It's about thinking in an agile way. That's really what we want to get to. So that's the core part of an agile operating model. However, when we think about an agile operating model, typically what will happen is we'll start thinking about some sort of technical practices. So some of you may have heard of something called extreme programming. So extreme programming, the name suggests, it's about extreme speed. It's not. Extreme programming is all focused on extreme quality. It's making sure we get the appropriate quality products. And also the name extreme programming would suggest that it's just for programmers. It's not. There's a lot of the practices, stories, continuous integration, things like this, that you see in extreme programming that you can actually use in the whole business. So most organizations in their agile operating model will have a view of what technical practices they have in place. Yeah, so that sort of standard. Most organizations would also have a view of how they want teams to operate. So this might be Scrum, or this might be Kanban, or whatever. So we would put in place some sort of basic definition of, what do we mean when we say the teams do Agile? Well, we mean this in our organization. We may or may not be doing projects. Agile is much more sort of outcome focused and product focused. It's really about providing value, outcomes. One definition of Agile, providing continuous flows of value on a when needed basis. So continuous flow of value when it's needed. So does that align to projects? Well, maybe it does. Sometimes it would do. Sometimes it wouldn't. So we may be doing projects or not. If we are doing projects, we're going to have some sort of Agile project management framework. Agile PM is an Agile project management framework. And then we might be operating at scale. Now, there's loads of scaling frameworks out there. I'm sure you're all aware of. SAFe, LESS, Scrum at Scale, Nexus, Discipline Agile. There's loads of them. So you might be using some sort of scaling framework, maybe something like this. So this is the basics of an Agile operating model. Obviously, as I was saying a little bit earlier on, the value, it's about the values and the principles. It's about being Agile. It's not about doing Agile. But what we need to do is we need to have some sort of Agile operating model that says, basically, our business operates like this, especially if you're interacting with third parties. Because if the third party, if you're interacting with a third party and that third party says, hi, we're a third party and we're Agile, and you say, okay, that's fantastic, they will ask you, okay, what do you mean by agility? If you say, well, we don't really know, they're just going to make it up, as will many of the teams in your organization. So the basic idea of an Agile operating model. Let's share a screen. Screen again. So so pushing forward a bit. How did we get here? So how did we get to this position that we're in now? Well, during the Industrial Revolution, we were using an approach called Taylorism. So mass production, very much a focus on tasks, command and control leadership, organization as a machine. Worked really, really well. At the time, it worked really, really well. So it was basically viewing businesses and organizations as a machine, as a process. So that worked well at that time. That evolved into the era of expertise, the information age. So, management very much as a science, business process engineering, BPR, some of you might remember from the past. Waterfall, nothing wrong with waterfall. I would just argue that it's not really suited for today's VUCA world. Knowledge workers, this sort of thing. So we evolved from the Taylorism approach to the information age. Where we are now is really the age of the team, or the era of network communities. So working through networks of people, communities of customers, employees, leader as a steward of community, leader as the steward of the communities. Connection, empathy, and impact matter. For those of you who are from a marketing background, that's huge. So digital marketing, agile thinking within marketing, connection, empathy, and impact, absolutely key. And those who are involved in developing products, again, absolutely huge. So we've come through these different evolutions of team thinking, and we need to make, or business thinking, and we need to make sure that leadership's aligned with that. So the era of network communities. So the leadership challenge has really been leading across those three eras. Robert G. Allen, some of you may have heard of, very famous investor from the States. Your current thinking got you here. Only new thinking will get you out. And there's always the famous Einstein quote, which I like, which I've now forgotten. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is insane. So Einstein's definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is insane. So we need to be doing something different. If the world's changed, which it has, and it ain't going to slow down anytime soon. If the world's changed, we need to make sure that the rate of change inside is exceeding the rate of change outside. So interesting. So let's have a look at some thinking about, as we advertise this particular webinar, leadership, the new focus for a new world. So how do we make sure that as leaders, we're focusing on that new world, that new agile world? This that we're going to look at here isn't particularly out of any books or anything. It's really our experience in Radtac, built up, since '98 when we actually started. Because obviously this is what we do. We work with organisations to help them. Well, initially we used to help them do information technology, agility. Nowadays, it's very much about business agility. I personally, my specialism is business agility. I've been helping organizations do this 12, 15 years, but very much over the last 3 to 5 years, very much focusing into business agility, not just IT agility. And I think we'll see when we come out of this COVID-19 nightmare, a lot of businesses are going to be thinking, wow, we really need to be shaped in a more agile, lean, Kanban way. So let's have a look at, based on our experience, some thinking here. Once again, if you'd be so kind, you've raised some brilliant stuff up to now on chat. If you could raise a bit more. So rather than me just saying this is what we think, what do you think? So what do you think the key leadership behaviors should be to enable an agile operating model? So we had a quick look at an agile operating model earlier on. As leaders, how should we be behaving to enable that? So once again, if we could go on to chat, that would be absolutely awesome. And if you could just give me an idea of what you think there, that'd be great. Yep. Yep. Different levels of agile maturity. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Curious and listeners. Yeah. Customer value focused. Intent-based leadership. Fantastic. Yeah. Empathy, empowerment, encouraging new ideas. Wow, you guys are brilliant. You come out with so much stuff really quickly. Just bear with me, I'm trying to read them all. Understand that not everything will fit every team. Definitely. Within Agile, we're going to interact with human beings as human beings. So treat people as brilliant, trusted professionals and interact with them in that way. Understanding and enthusiasm, huge, yes. I'll love that one. Focus on others' greatness. My personal view, and the ethos in Radtac is we employ brilliant people and then enable them to be brilliant. And as a leader, that's largely about getting out the bleeding way. So let me just restate that. We employ brilliant people, enable them to be brilliant. So, we agree on a direction of travel and then we support them. We facilitate and coach them and get out of their way and enable them to be brilliant. So that's a great one, yes. Very important to explain the why of change. Yes, I'm going to cue you on to somebody here. I would suggest have a look at a guy called Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K. Simon Sinek, and he's got a very famous book called Start With Why. There's also, you can find clips on YouTube. So he basically talks about why, what, and how. Why, how, and what. In other words, you should always talk about why first. So Simon Sinek. Mark's mentioned something called Theory Y. Yes, there is a concept out there called Theory X and Theory Y managers. Very, very important in Agile. A Theory X manager is somebody who thinks that everybody who works with, for them is a total numpty and a total idiot, and they need to be managed, commanded, and controlled because they're just trying to pull the wool over his eyes all the time, and they're just trying to, just cop off and not do anything. That's what a Theory X manager thinks, and they'll be right because if the way the Theory X manager is working is like that, that's how the people will interact with them. A Theory Y manager, which is really what we're looking for in Agile, a Theory Y manager understands that they are there to facilitate, support, and enable the teams. So as far as they're concerned, the teams are adult professionals full of brilliant people who we need to enable to be brilliant. And if the manager, leader is interacting with people like that, that's how the people will operate. So Theory X and Theory Y is interesting. Lead by example, yeah. Provide staff with current in-demand skills, definitely. Continuous learning, yeah. Listen to the workforce, key. Nurture that which is natural to human beings, definitely. So empowerment, communication, transparency, empathy, great stuff. So again, an absolutely fantastic list. So let's have a look at what we came up with. So yeah, this top one, some of you might have heard of. Stop starting, start finishing. This is a concept from Kanban, K-A-N-B-A-N. If you're not aware of Kanban, it's an example of what is called a flow system. So yeah, we haven't really got time to go through Kanban, but it's something I would strongly suggest you to have a look at. The best book to read is called Kanban by a guy called David J. Anderson. Well, that's the best book to start with. So stop starting, start finishing. What does that mean? Well, as a leader, it's very, very easy for businesses and human beings in the business to start stuff. We start doing something, that hits a blocker. We think, oh crap, we can't remove that blocker today. We'll put that on the back burner just for a minute, excuse me, and we'll start something else. So we've now got two things. We then, all right, everyone's not busy at the moment, we'll start something else. We've now got three things. Oh, this thing's coming from left field. We've now got four things, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20. And what happens is Human beings are really not good at what is called, well, in Agile it's called noise, but generally on the market, human beings are not good at what's called context and task switching. So in other words, doing this, then doing that, then doing this, then doing that, then doing this, then doing that. We find it very, very difficult to context and task switch. If you have lots of things all happening at the same time, then the team will be doing a lot of context and task switching. This is recognized as the lowest productivity way you can work. So what we try to align to in Agile and Kanban thinking and Lean thinking as well is that we focus on one thing at one time. We start it, we finish it. We then do the next thing, start it, finish it, then do the next thing, start it, finish it. Now, obviously, in the real world, that's not always realistic. So it may be we have 2 or 3 or 5 or 8 things happening at the same time. Kanban is part of Kanban is about optimizing the flow of what you're actually delivering. So you've got valuable outcomes. It's optimizing the flow of that value. So it's making sure that we don't start loads of stuff up, we finish things. So we don't keep starting, we focus on finishing. So a really important leadership behavior. Focus on shortening feedback cycles. Some of you might have heard of Scrum. And within Scrum, we have a role called Scrum Masters. Scrum Masters are focused on lots of different things, but one of the things the Scrum Masters focused on is shortening those feedback cycles. Agile generically, Agile approaches are called iterative and incremental approaches. So Kanban is a flow approach. Agile approaches are iterative and incremental. So incremental means basically splitting things down into small valuable chunks and basically getting those small valuable chunks out to a stakeholder group or out to the market so we can get feedback on it. Because if we're working in a VUCA world, there's no way we can assess whether we're going the right direction or not unless we're getting feedback from the market or feedback from the stakeholders. So we've got to get small increments of value out there. That might be, some organizations I've worked with multiple times a day. That might be every week. It might be every 2 weeks. It might be every 3 or 4 weeks. But we need to be getting small increments of value out there to get feedback, feedback cycles. As we get the feedback, it then gives us the ability to evolve and iterate the outcome that we're creating. So, incremental, iterative. That's the nature of Agile frameworks. And we're very much going to be focused on shortening feedback cycles. A traditional waterfall that may have 3 months, 6, 9, 12 months, a year, whatever, before you actually get real feedback. At which point you find out the product's fundamentally wrong. So we want to make sure in a VUCA world we get short feedback cycles. That's a really big leadership behaviour for our Agile operating model. Enable Agile planning. Focus on enabling predictability. Engender baseline and commitment plan thinking. Quote here, I think from Eisenhower. I think it's from Eisenhower. Plans are worthless, but planning is everything. So the point Eisenhower is making here, going through the planning process is absolutely key. However, if we're in a VUCA world, like if you're in a theatre of war, hopefully not, but if you're in a theatre of war, then as soon as you get into that theatre of war, everything you thought would be correct will probably be wrong. But having gone through that planning process allows you to make decisions a lot faster. So yes, plans are worthless, but planning is everything. Key for us. This brings us into a concept I'd like to have a quick look at, if I may. So I'm just going to stop out of here. Just bear with me. So I'm going to stop the share here. I'm going to put the share back over here. Okay, so I'm just going to go into back into our drawing pad and just talk about a little concept. Planning is everything. So, and different levels of plan. I'd like to talk about a concept called Bohm's cone of uncertainty, which some of you may or may not have heard of. So, Bohm's cone of uncertainty. It's from a chap called Barry Boehm. Barry Boehm was one of the instigators of what's called the spiral approach, which is a very early version of Agile in the late 70s, early 80s. So, Agile's been around a long time. Well, Agile's based, one of the things Agile's based on is one of the things Agile is based on is Lean, which has been around since the mid 40s. So Barry Boehm, the cone of uncertainty. And basically what this is talking about is the accuracy of estimates and how much you know about what you're trying to estimate. Just bear with me, I'm looking down here to draw. So over here, we know lots and lots about what we want to estimate. Over here, we know very little about what we want to estimate. And the cone of uncertainty just says, well, you'll understand more, your estimate will be more accurate the more you know about something. your estimate is likely to be less accurate the less you know about something. So, we can estimate anything at any point. So, you could ask me to estimate absolutely anything. I could give you an estimate for it, but that estimate might be between 1 nanosecond and 1,000 years. It's an estimate, but it's an estimate with a very wide range. Yes. If I understand a lot about something, so, how long would it take me to broadly enable business agility in an organization of 2,000 people distributed, blah, 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 I could give you a lot more accurate estimate because, that's what I do every day. So yeah, Bohm's kernel of uncertainty, it's making the point that estimates, the accuracy of estimates vary over time. Now, the key thing to understand here is that, we're going to have a level of commitment estimate, commitment plans, as they're sometimes known. So in Agile, that would be the sprint, normally 2 weeks. Yeah. So the commitment plan, which we understand a lot about what we're going to be planning before we actually do that planning and estimating. And we have a concept of what are called baseline plans. Now, a key understanding with estimating and planning is what an estimate or a plan is. Estimates and plans are guesses. They're guesses. The reason I'm just highlighting this is in some organizations I've interacted with, some people in the organization think that estimates are tied down in stone. They're absolutely tied down in stone. They're not. Human beings cannot tell the future. You can't tell the future in a second, never mind in a minute or a week or a month. So how we've dealt with that is by coming up with this concept of commitment plans and baseline plans. So a commitment plan means, this is committed to. There's lots of different ways to achieve commitment plans, which I haven't got time to go through here. Baseline plan means this is where we started from. So as things change, the baseline is going to change. Organizations then think about, okay, in a baseline plan, what do we want to fix? What do we want to vary? So we might fix the time frame and cost and vary the functionality. We might fix the functionality and vary the time and cost, whatever. So you would need to think on a baseline plan. But the key thing to understand is if you're doing something which is, if you're planning on a time frame which is further out than just the next couple of weeks, you really, really do not want to be doing detailed plans, because if you're working in a VUCA world where things change, you will not know whether your plans are right unless you get feedback on it. So we're going to be getting feedback. We're going to be constantly changing direction. So we can produce a baseline plan, but we then need to be thinking about, how we change direction from there. And on that baseline plan, we could indicate that we're going to deliver within these sorts of timeframes, or alternatively, we're going to be delivering continuously, but this functionality is likely to be here at this point, or whatever. So this is the point I'm making there about the leadership behavior of planning. So we need to make sure that we align to that type of thinking. Okay, so back to the slides again. So I was talking about plans are worthless, but planning is everything. As a leader, we need to engender a focus on continuous delivery, as I've suggested. So systems thinking. We want to make sure that we set ourselves up so we have a demand pull. So it's not a case of us pushing value into the market. The market is demanding and pulling. Now, this relates to my definition of Agile I gave a little bit earlier. Continuous delivering value on a fit for purpose basis. Continuously delivering value on a fit for purpose basis. I'm not saying continuously delivering value as fast as possible. Now, this relates to a concept in Lean called tact time, T-A-K-T, tact time. Basically, tact time means aligning your delivery speed with the consumption speed of your market. So in other words, there's no point producing 5,000 units a week if the market wants 5. And there's no point producing 5 units a week if the market wants 5,000. So it's about understanding what's going to be the speed of delivery aligned with the speed of consumption. So what we want to do is set up an environment where the customer pulls things through the system. And this is what we see in Kanban. So in Kanban, we would use, well, in Scrum or in Agile, we would use Kanban thinking, the pull demand system. What we're always doing is we're focusing on value, real business value. Now, this is essentially important when we think about business agility. Let's just have a quick look at this, thinking about business agility. So over to the sketchpad again. So sometimes what happens in organizations is, let's say we have a business here, and let's say in our business we have an admin group. Let's say we have a finance group, we have a marketing group, an IT group, this group or that group, the other group, lots of different groups. Now, sometimes what happens is when transformation starts to occur, or when when a program or project starts to occur, or an agile transformation starts to occur, or whatever, it will start somewhere. So one of the points our friends on the webinar raised is that, you know, agile is sometimes considered just for IT. So yeah, maybe we raise some agile programs or projects just in information technology. Now, what will happen there is that if you think about the business as like a human being, yeah, a human being, then what's going to happen is none of these parts of the business understand what the hell's going on in IT. So they will see it's this new scary stuff that is really against the culture of the organization. So what will they do? They will go into attack mode. So they will start attacking this stuff. Yeah. So it's when when the finance team says, for example, we say to them, we're an agile delivery, and we're not producing very detailed plans because it's pointless in a VUCA world to produce detailed plans. We will give you an indication of what's going on. We'll keep you up to speed. And the finance team say, yeah, that's nice, but you've got to provide us with exact definition of what requirements you're going to do, an exact definition of a functional specification, and an exact definition of a design specification before we will give you any money. It's that sort of behavior mode, right? So that is typically caused because we've just tried to do something new or different, whether that be a new product, a new outcome, transform into agile, whatever it is. We've had this sort of thing occurring. So what we need to do is what in agile is called vertical slicing. So we need to align whatever it is we're trying to do, the project, the program, the new product delivery, the transformation to agile, whatever it is, down a value chain. So we need to be thinking about the value that we provide to our customers. Now, how our customers see value will be different from the way we see value. So within our business, we might think that we provide value X, Y, Z. That may not be what our customers think. We need to be understanding what the customers think of as value. And then what we need to be doing is aligning basically across all of the business, to create a value chain, to focus on creating teams and creating business agility that's about delivering value down here to the customer. Yes. So whenever we support organizations to do this, we're always talking about value chains, systems thinking. We're always talking about pull demand. We're always talking about do a vertical slice. Don't try and change one part of the business. Try and change a vertical slice. Make that vertical slice non-threatening. So in other words, we're going to call it an experiment. Excuse me. We're going to call it an experiment. We're going to give it a go. We're going to get finance involved. We're going to get everyone involved, but we're going to make it non-scary for them. Okay. So that's really what we need to be thinking about. Get a vertical slice in place. Yeah. I can see Zach here feeding the beast. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So let's go back to the slides. So we were talking there about engender a focus on continuous delivery of maximum value independent business outcomes, which is what I've just been pen sketching around there. Ensure everything is at least business value focused and everything has an order. Now, yeah, business value is going to be key for figuring out what the order of delivery is. Typically, it's not the only thing. If you want to understand the absolute inside outs, backwards and forwards of this sort of stuff, how to think about ordering stuff, the best guy to read is a guy called Don Reinertsen, Reinertsen, Don Reinertsen, and his landmark book is called Product Development Flow, Second Generation Lean. Now that will give you everything you ever wanted to know about how to think about ordering things in a backlog. Most organizations use something called CD3. CD3 is basically a cost of delay over duration or effort, or whatever you want it to be over. However, what we need to be doing is CD3 is normal. There's different ways to define CD3, but one way to define it is business value plus timing value plus risk reduction and opportunity enablement over duration or effort. So it's more than just value. So value is going to be a key thing for us when thinking about prioritizing, but it's not going to be the only thing. Yeah, interesting here. Zach has mentioned a book. I haven't actually read this, Lead to Serve, but I will. I'll certainly have a look. So this is from Zach. Have you read Lead to Serve? Sounds like a good book. So if you're interested in having a look at that one, I would suggest it's a good idea. Oh, sorry, Serve to Lead. Yes. So Zach, serve to lead. Anne's just asked, I can share the books. Yes, I'll send out a short video of what we've talked about here. I'm recording this webinar. I'll send out sort of like a 3-5 minute cut down version. And yes, I'll send out a few of the books I've made. I'll send out a reference to a few of the books I've mentioned as well. So yeah, great. great for the comments again. Thank you. Brilliant stuff. Let's keep pushing forward. I'm not sure we'll cover everything that we want to cover in this webinar, but we've got 4 more webinars. Talking about a lot more detail about that sort of thing. So yeah, implement processes and tools that enable plan on cadence release on demand. What do I mean by plan on cadence release on demand? Well, plan on cadence, the reason we want to cadence, I don't know why we use this term in Agile, because it sometimes confuses people. All cadence means is just frequency. So it means whenever we do a plan, we're going to be planning on a standardized frequency. So looking at Scrum, for example, you would typically have a standardized length of sprints, 2 weeks, a week, 3 weeks, whatever makes sense. Most organizations we interact with have 2 week sprints. So let's say it's always 2 week sprints. Now, the reason we want that standardized frequency is because in Agile, we're going to very much align to what's called empirical thinking. So I believe science is based on empirical thinking. Empirical thinking basically means make decisions based on factual evidence. So if we have standardized length of sprints, yes, then that means that every 2 weeks, we can look at how much the team delivered. So 3 sprints ago, we delivered this much. 2 sprints ago, we delivered this much. 1 sprint ago, we delivered this much. So looking at that empirical evidence of how fast we can develop, we will assume that the next sprint, we will develop on average at that speed. So it gives us some empirical evidence to help us make good, accurate plans. So planning on cadence enables that to occur, gives us that empirical evidence. However, an absolutely key thing to occur that does confuse some people. We talk about, in Agile, we talk about sprint backlogs or sprint plans. We talk about some of the scaling frameworks, talk about program increments or release plans, or whatever you want to call them. So you might have 2 week sprints, I don't know, 3 month program increments, whatever. Those are planning cadences. They have nothing at all to do with when you would actually release the value to the business. So as I was suggesting earlier, if you've got a 2 week sprint, you might do, I don't know, 10 releases of value during that 2 week sprint. If you're fixing defects or whatever, for example, you might wait until the end of the sprint to put something live, release something. You might wait 2 or 3 sprints to get a minimum viable product before you release something. What we're doing is we're releasing on demand. So when the market pulls that in, demands that thing, that's when we release it. That bears no relationship at all to the planning cadences. The planning cadences are just there, it's absolutely key. The planning cadences are there to enable us to think empirically about thinking empirically. So brilliant. So that's Agile operating model. I'm going to go through these bits a little bit faster. What are the key leadership behaviors to enable a business agility environment? So an environment that lives and breathes business agility. So if you'd be kind enough, back onto chat, if you'd be so kind, and just give me some ideas about what should the key leadership behaviors be for this. So an agile environment and culture. Gives me a chance to have a quick drink, which is good. Yeah, again, you're giving me lots and lots of stuff really, really fast here, so I'll try and read some of them out. Yeah, facilitation and enablement. Yeah, making sure that we support the teams. Yeah, making sure trust, support, courage, respectful, blameless. Yeah, fantastic. So embrace data and measurement, key. Encouragement, growth mindset, learning culture. Great stuff there, Peter. Yeah. Denny, engagement, involvement. Yeah, great list again. Yeah, leadership, absolutely. Cycle often, close late. Yeah. Let people do the job they're hired to do. Radical candor. Yeah, great stuff. So let's have a look at some of the stuff we've got here. So I'm going to go through this relatively quick because we've only got another 12 minutes or so. And we've got to practice slow, play fast from Zach again. Yeah, great. Empowerment. So the right power to the right people. Empowerment isn't about just saying, "Hey, everybody can now do everything," because that will sort of like be more chaotic than empowered. So we need to, a key thing to understand about empowerment is you cannot empower teams. Teams empower themselves. So one thing we do very often when interacting with any team or any organisation of any size, we basically create charters, team charters. So we're thinking about how does the team want to empower themselves? And then we look at that over time. As they become more skilled and more experienced, they will probably want more empowerment. We treat them as respected adult human beings, so they will probably want more empowerment. But just to reiterate, you cannot empower a team. What you can do is set up an environment within which the team empowers itself. That environment is a lot about enabling safety. So appreciation and recognition, as Assis is saying. So encouraging safety. Some of you might have heard of a chap called Patrick Lencioni. He talks about leadership. I would suggest have a look at Lencioni. He's a good guy to read. He identifies the first step in enabling, really effective dynamic teams from a leadership perspective is create an environment of trust. So we need to make sure creativity and innovation, just to make a key point there, is that what is creativity and innovation about? It's about making mistakes. You will not be creative and innovative unless you're making mistakes. So from a leadership perspective, it's how we as leaders react to those mistakes. If we go, holy cow, what's going on? What are you doing? People will never be innovative and creative again. They will never take any more risks. So we need to make sure that the trust environment's there and people know that they can try things out. The thing to do is try things out in short periods of time, i.e. sprints. So if what you've tried out works, if the experiment you've tried out works, keep doing it. If it doesn't, stop. Create time for pairing. Yeah, people working together. Specialized generalists, some of us may have heard of. I'd suggest you have a look at the internet about what specialized generalists are. And engender an environment of continuous learning. Yes, so we're always looking for continuous learners within our Agile teams. Now, it doesn't matter whether they're continuously learning IT or business stuff. They might be learning how to do scuba diving, but they're showing an intent that they're a continuous learner. So we want specialized generalists or T-shaped people, and we want those people to be continuous learners. So as leaders, we're going to be focused on this sort of thing. Enable teams to be autonomous, have time to master their role, and have a clear purpose. Autonomy, mastery, purpose. Some of you may recognize this from a book called Drive by a guy called Dan Pink. Again, that's another book I would suggest you should have a look at from a leadership perspective, Drive by Dan Pink. There's also a quick YouTube clip, which is called Autonomy, Mastery, Purpose. So in essence, it's Pink talking about the latest science, team science, on how to get really dynamic teams. And it's about giving the team autonomy, allowing the team time to master something, and them having a clear purpose. All of those things obviously come from us as leaders. Co-locate teams where feasible, or enable virtual co-location tools. Now, I might differ with some Agile folks here. Some Agile folks will say teams must be physically co-located. Good luck with that during nightmares like we're going through at the moment. My personal experience is, and this is what all of these things are based on, experience. My personal experience is physical co-location will create the most dynamic teams, in my experience. Virtual co-location will come pretty near. It won't be as good as physical location, but if you're doing it well, it's going to come pretty near. So, we can do that. Create agile contracts. Yes, I may talk about, if any of you are really interested, just email me or whatever. I'll give you my email later on. And I may talk a bit about agile contracts in later sessions. But yes, suffice to say that agile contracts are very different, to traditional contracts. And then making sure that our human resources colleagues and resourcing are employing people with an agile mindset, and we have behavior rewards in place. Fantastic stuff. So the lean agile mindset. I won't ask you any more questions now because we haven't got a huge amount of time, and you've already done some. I think you've already worked hard enough. You've already given some brilliant stuff. But to look into what enables the lean agile mindset. As I said earlier, it's a difference between really doing agile and being agile. So how can we engender the organisation to sort of be agile? So rather than asking you to do this, oops, Daisy. The practice brain model. Yeah, I'll maybe have a word offline about that one, Zach. I'm not sure. Oh, I see what you mean. So being agile, doing agile. We can have a chat about that offline if you want. But as I say, this is from my experience rather than books per se. But it'd be great. It'd be brilliant to have a word offline about that if you've got time. Fantastic. So the first one here then. So enabling an agile mindset, embrace simplicity, focus on optimizing the flow rather than optimizing resource utilization. So we want to concentrate on optimizing the flow of value rather than optimizing resource utilization per se. Just bear with me. I'm trying to find my. There it is. Oh, I think I've gone forward one there. So let me just go back. Sorry. Encourage flexibility in the art of the possible. Art of the possible is basically a concept from Scrum. And sometimes teams can get very demotivated and disabused because they've been treated like numpties. They've been treated like idiots. Therefore, they're not surprisingly acting in a very demotivated way. Art of the possible is about changing that behavior mode. It's about helping teams change the behavior mode away from saying everything is impossible to saying, okay, this is probably possible. Let's try it out. Let's do that in a low risk environment. Let's give it a go, see if it works. If it does, keep doing it. If it doesn't, stop. So it's to set that art of possible. Emerge outcomes, probably no great surprise there. Last responsible moment is a concept of making sure that, yes, we will make decisions, but we will make decisions based on empirical factual evidence. So we will only make decisions at the last responsible moment when we've got that evidence. Also, it's going to enable us to be agile. In my experience, again, when problems occur, give the team a damn good listening to. We need to be listening to why the team is having those problems. Danielle, yes, I think you've raised a hand there. If you want to whack something in the chat, I can sort of react to anything you raise in the chat. That'd be superb. Oh, all right. Sorry, error. No worries. Number 4 here, behaviours. Encourage a safe environment. Again, transparency. Create an innovation by removing the blame culture. I think we've talked about that. Leadership must walk the walk and talk the talk. Yeah, absolutely essential. Break the leadership myth. Again, I haven't really got time to go through this in detail, but very quickly, the leadership myth is the leader thinks that the team won't do anything unless they lead them, unless they manage them. So they're always going to be trying to manage the team and lead the team. What the team will then think is that, oh, we shouldn't do anything. You know, we're not empowered to do anything because this manager's always managing us. What then happens is the leader looks at the team and thinks, well, they're not doing anything unless I tell them. I've got to tell them more. So you get this self-sustaining cycle of nightmareness going down a plug hole, basically. So the leadership myth. What we need to do as leaders is facilitate, coach, and enable people. Focus the basic measurement on value, speed delivering value, customer satisfaction and quality. The basics. There's a lot more you would measure than that, but those are the basics. Remove the overhead of management reporting, make things very visible. Focus on Gemba walks. Sometimes people quote Gemba walks as management by walking around. It's not management by walking around. A Gemba walk is basically about solving problems. So it's about working with the team working with the team to solve the problems at the scene. Reward agile behaviours, I think we've discussed. Remove noise by preferring focus and not disturbing them. Stop starting, start finishing, I think we've talked about. Great agile leaders serve the team, provide vision, remove blockers. I think we've talked about that as well. I'll just go through these very quickly. And okay, this is really the last slide. The top 5 transformation issues we've learned. So I'm now thinking about specifically agile transformation. Make the organizational soil ready before you try and actually do any change. What I mean by that is you shouldn't just start change before. That's interesting, Lucy. You're only seeing a brain on that slide. Sorry, there is some writing on there as well. Jim, you're not seeing the slides change. Okay, just bear with me. I'm going to stop share and restart share again. Okay, hopefully you should see the slides changing now. So make the organizational soil ready before planting the seeds of change. This is about making sure that we've actually got the business ready for doing some transformations. It's about assessing the transformation capability of the team. Be aware that 2 big plus 2 complex equals 4 failure. Evolution rules, Kaizen rules, create small vertical slices of transformational change. Try them out across the whole business based on value chains. Don't set up big transformation programs. They're doomed to fail. Yes, set up small vertical slices and drive forward in that way. Encourage and support transformational leadership. Yes, we want transformational leaders to help us do our change. Encourage what are called tempered radicals. So the people in the organization who think differently, they do things differently. We want to encourage those people because those are the people who are going to identify a whammaroonie brilliant idea nobody's ever thought of before. Communication cubed, we talk about listening, persuading, and feedback. And probably obvious, but we need to identify the key stakeholders. Within Radtac, we define a stakeholder as any person or group who can help us or screw us up. Define the key stakeholders, and then think about how we are going to collaborate very closely with those key stakeholders. Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, we've got something written. 6 weeks is how long it takes the Mark 1 human brain to change. Yes, I'd agree with that. So based on my experience, which sounds similar to yours, Zach, I think. Based on my experience, it normally takes any team anywhere between 1 to 3 months to start transforming to an agile mindset. In other words, to start being agile. So that brings us to the end. I hope that was fun. Certainly fun for me. Fantastic comments, by the way, on the chat again. Absolutely brilliant stuff. As I say, this is the first of 5 lectures. The next one's going to be a bit more lectures. This is the first of 5 webinars on Agile leadership. So the next one's really going to be more about history of Agile. Well, you can see on the slide here. If you want to contact me, there's my email ID down the bottom. If you want to have a look at our business, there's our website at the bottom there. Oh, by the way, I'm running a certified Scrum Product Owner course on the 4th and 5th of May. For those of you who are on the webinar, if you would like to well, either contact me or get onto Radtac and say you were on the webinar, we'll give you 10% off that CSPO. So I thought I'd suggest, if you're interested in getting certified as a certified Scrum Product Owner, that's going to be a good place to start. So it just remains for me to say, hey, fantastic to e-meet you all. Thanks very much for that comment, Charlie. So we're right at the end now, 1:30. Thanks very much for your time. Thanks very much for your attention. I'll just stay on whilst people are leaving. Thanks, Assis. Great stuff. Mark, great to see you. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, thank you, Sandra. Yes, CSPO. I would say this, wouldn't I? Because I'm training it, but yeah, it's pretty good. Thanks, Rob. That's very kind. That's very kind of you to say about the book. Thank you. Thanks, Pauline. Great stuff. Shishendu, fantastic. Thank you. Ali, great. Good to see you again. Parag, great to see you again. Great stuff. Alex, great to see you again. Sandra, fantastic. Great to see you. Great stuff. Brilliant. Okay, I think that's that's probably, there's only a few people left on now. So I'll end the meeting. Thanks once again, and hopefully see you at the next one next Wednesday. All the best.